How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome to the Geekritique show. My name is Dakota.
And I'm Jen.
And this is our full review for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9, last, supposedly, of the Skywalker saga.
Doubt.
I give Disney 5 years before they announce their next trilogy. Of course, they're not going to call it the Skywalker saga because they've already claimed that this is going to be the end of the Skywalker saga, so they'll, But there's no way Disney will ever give up the opportunity to put out a Star Wars X.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, even too with the way that things were, there's going to be another. I don't know.
They definitely set it up for more.
So we're going to keep this part non-spoiler because, a lot of people haven't seen it yet. A lot of people just want to watch it at home or are just kind of waiting to see, is this even worth my time and money?
Right.
Especially after, a lot of the opinions on The Last Jedi in general. And I think that, you can't really talk about this film without talking about The Last Jedi, in a way, just because I think a trilogy should be harmonious.
Absolutely.
And my biggest criticism of this one is that I don't feel like it was harmonious. Right. It felt very disjointed. But if you love The Last Jedi, it seems like you probably won't like this one, and vice versa. If you hated The Last Jedi, you might like this one a bit more. Now, potentially.
I do want to make a caveat because it seems that there are two camps right now in Star Wars fandom. There's the fandom menace, which actively disliked The Last Jedi and somewhat disliked The Force Awakens, but the hatred didn't really come until The Last Jedi, really, when they felt that a number of things didn't go the way that they felt or wanted it to go, to the point where they felt it destroyed the Star Wars brand. And that's an understandable point of view, but I don't think we're part of the fandom menace. We've never truly actively hated anything Star Wars. But we're not going to be on the other extreme, which seems to be all praise all the time for The Last Jedi. Now, we enjoyed The Last Jedi when we watched it.
Yeah. It's funny, when it came out, I was like, yeah, that was good. I thought, it wasn't perfect, but then people, really hated it. And I didn't really understand, the hate. But then recently we were rewatching it, and I was like, it is really a frustrating movie, just because
it leaves nothing to be desired afterwards.
Yeah. Whereas this one, to me, left more to be desired. This last one felt more like a second movie in a trilogy than a third. Right. And the last one felt like it was wrapping everything up and, not really planning ahead. It's really weird. Yeah. And I just really, and that is one thing I can blame Disney for, is, whether, certain things were a part of their plan or not. I don't really know how grand their plan was moving throughout this whole thing. But, they should have tried to make it harmonious.
Absolutely.
I think that was always a part of Lucas's visions when planning trilogies. But I don't know. I just feel like for a Star Wars trilogy, it was just kind of all over the place. All three of the movies were jumpy.
I think really... as just a singular movie, I think The Force Awakens is probably maybe not the strongest film, but the most, I guess, cohesive in terms of lack of plot holes, or at least to hate, besides the fact that it is a retread on much of what came from the original trilogy.
But I have to say, too, The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker both felt like Star Wars, whereas The Last Jedi felt like its own
It was
thing.
The thing with The Last Jedi, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a meta look at Star Wars.
Which isn't what anybody wants. Whoever requested that? What Star Wars fan requested that? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't want to discredit Rian Johnson because he is actually a very good director. I mean, we just watched Knives Out, and
that's true. Actually,
he knocked it out of the box with that. And The Last Jedi, visually and cinematographically, that's a word, is just leaps and bounds ahead of most of the Star Wars films. And in some scenes, it probably does have the most visually stunning scenes as a whole.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, not entirely.
And again, I don't hate The Last Jedi, but now that we've gotten to the third film, and I feel what did The Last Jedi contribute?
So before we begin, we got these awesome glasses from the Alamo Draft House. Gonna try to not spill them, but also show you some of the awesome artwork. And on the bottom, as you can see a little bit here.
We have to drink a little more.
Yeah, we have to drink before we show you the bottom, but they have like the Jedi logo and the Sith logo, or the emblem.
I think you have the Sith and I have the Jedi.
Oh yeah, sorry. So that's pretty cool. We're drinking New Belgium triple beer. It's just literally called triple. So
it's good.
And for those of you who are more interested in some of the canon stuff, I am going to be posting little bits and bobs from Pablo Hidalgo's new The Visual Dictionary with exclusive cross sections for the movie, and with little tidbits that kind of like expand on the canon. So I'll show it on screen a little bit, but you're gonna have to decipher it.
So there's that.
It's in Arabic, so have fun with that. So let's actually get into the Rise of Skywalker. We knew going in that to truly get into this movie, we would have to kind of tread a little bit on what The Last Jedi tread on The Force Awakens for. It's hard to deny the fact that The Last Jedi closed more doors than it opened in terms of plot.
It's like they gave The Rise of Skywalker like nothing to work with. And when you think about the contributions that The Last Jedi made to the series as a whole, it, like you said, it really just took away more than it added on, even to like the lore and stuff like that. Like it really wasn't, it was more about saying like the Jedi were wrong, the Jedi religion was wrong, and trying to go towards that like gray neutral way. But then it's almost like this film did a total 180 in that respect.
Yeah, so in that sense, tonally, they don't necessarily fit all together.
All three of them don't.
Yeah, because it's The Force Awakens, then The Last Jedi kind of swings the other way, and then it goes right back to feeling like The Force Awakens with this film, and that's because it's a J.J. Abrams movie. He set up all these mysteries to be unfolded, and this film, Last Jedi, decided, nah, these mysteries aren't interesting, let's just close them all, and then he kind of decided, let's reopen them, because they are actually interesting, and that's how we're going to run the plot.
And I have to say, though, like, even from the start, I feel like I had said, if you're going to have a trilogy of films, why not have one director? Why not have one person?
One vision, one writer.
Vision. That's why this is so disjointed. You can't just take a story and have it told by three different people doing three totally different things.
Yeah.
Like everybody has their own idea of what should be done, what should be best, what should be, the way that things should go. And it's really not fair. It's really stupid at the end of the day. That's the biggest problem. And people say, oh, we don't want to blame Kathleen Kennedy, blah, blah, blah. It's not her fault. But it's like, isn't it though? Isn't it a little bit her fault when...
It is a little bit. It's not entirely her fault though.
But you didn't give an outline, even something to make it
I do believe that there was an outline, and the reason I say that is because having watched The Rise of Skywalker twice, I'm starting to see a lot of the earlier canon references pop out in this new film. So a lot of the stuff from the Aftermath trilogy, which kind of revolved around the release of The Force Awakens instead of necessarily The Last Jedi, as well as some of the stuff in the Bloodline book by Claudia Gray. Some of that is genuinely very closely tied to what's happening, and especially when it comes to the ultimate villain that comes back because of the trailers, Palpatine. Some of that is actually brought into the canon pretty early on, and it's almost... I'm surprised I didn't think about the fact that they wouldn't bring Palpatine back, considering all that they have set up in the past.
But they didn't put that in the films.
But it is late. It is too late. I agree with you. I agree that it is too late, but I also think that he was at least partially in the original outline, just based on everything that is in the visual guide as well as from the canon books that I've read. Now, let's talk about the actual film, because I don't want to dive too much into canon. There are things I really love about the movie and things there's nothing I really hate, but there are things that are a little bit cringy. There are things that are a little bit, wrong with the film on a critical level. Subjectively, I think that the film is too short. I think it jumps around, has a few too many MacGuffins, and
How much longer could they have made it though? Like,
they could have made it an extra. They could have added 20 to 30 minutes to the film of just exposition explaining why they are going to all of these different places, why it's at such a breakneck speed. And I believe that 30 minutes of extra footage is actually in there somewhere, and they just decided to cut it so that they can keep it at a 2-minute or 2.5-hour runtime so that they can sell more tickets. Okay. Because if it is a 3-hour film, you're gonna, sell a little bit less tickets.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's true. It does at the beginning feel like it's kind of like all over the place. It's like, I feel like the beginning of the film could have been its own movie if you would have like expounded on it more and made it like more interesting and maybe added like another villain or something. You know what I'm saying?
That just goes to show you what this film needed to accomplish because of The Last Jedi, because The Last Jedi set nothing.
That's exactly
what this movie.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, because you were saying that's what like this film needed to do, but I'm like, no, it's what The Last Jedi should have done.
Yes.
They should have had something building up. They should have had some mystery, some excitement, but it just kind of doesn't.
Based on what happens from point A to point B in The Force Awakens, and compare that to what happens from point A to point B in The Last Jedi, The Last Jedi is really movie 1.5. It doesn't really have as much of a consequential plot line as The Force Awakens does. And here's the thing with this movie, this is like a movie and a half. So it's kind of making up for whatever wasn't set up in The Last Jedi. And I
just think that that's what frustrates me about Rian Johnson is it is a really selfish approach to something like a series. You knew that you weren't going to be next. So you just destroyed all of the mystery that was built up in the first. And I know JJ wasn't planning on doing the third, and he came back eventually. I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
This film, it doesn't entirely retread and retcon everything that happened in the previous film. I want to get that out of the way. Pretty much everything that they do retread on or retcon, they give a pretty somewhat satisfactory reason or like a couple lines of dialogue that it kind of explain it away that help you, I guess, just push forward through the series. But if you're watching this Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker in a row, they bounce in like where you want the audience to go. And I do think the Rian Johnson was a little bit salty by the fact, because he hasn't commented on the film at all. He hasn't commented on The Rise of Skywalker. All he commented on was the fact... he posted a picture of Kelly Marie Tran at the opening, and just with like the emoji for the Queen, just like she's the Queen basically. And I understand where he's coming from, because they did sideline that character immensely in this movie.
Yeah, it's like I feel actually super bad for the actress. Like,
because, you're given the role of a lifetime. She did exactly what she was cast to do, and she was sidelined because, frankly, her character kind of ruined a lot of the plot lines in The Last Jedi. And I don't want to say ruined it didn't ruin The Last Jedi. It's just the tonal... The fact that she took Finn's sacrifice away from him at the end, and the entire plot with Finn and Rose going nowhere. And
actually, like, working against the very cause that they were trying to protect.
Yeah.
It was really frustrating. Like, and that's what I'm talking about with the frustration. And I have to say, too, with Kelly Marie Tran in particular, I really like her. Like, as a person, she seems super nice. And even her acting was not bad. Like, she's not a bad actress. But I had a student, I used to work at the writing center at my college, and I was helping him write an essay, and he went on and on about how everybody only hated Kelly Marie Tran's character because they're racist against Chinese people. So I said, oh, well, I mean, some of her scenes in The Last Jedi really frustrated me. And he said, I don't know, I haven't seen the movie. Why are you writing an essay on a movie that you have not seen? I don't understand. So I think people kind of chalk things up to, like,
People like to instantly, like, if you don't like her character, you're naturally racist. Or if
it's crazy, like it's like I can like the actress, I can like her as a person, but not like what her character did. Like, those aren't the same thing.
Now there are racist people out there. There are people
yeah,
who
of course, but I'm not
like...
I'm not one of them though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we're not those
like
people.
His essay was basically like, if you didn't like what she did, it's because you're racist. But I was like, but you're not mentioning all the stuff that her character did that was like kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, what?
Yeah. Anyway, let's actually talk. This is just evolving into the Last Jedi discussion. All right. The biggest problem I had with The Rise of Skywalker was the pacing. I truly believe that they cut out a ton of stuff and just kept the bare bones so that there are as little plot holes as possible so that the flow of the story can just push forward at a breakneck pace. There has never been a Star Wars movie that is this action-packed from start to finish. What they were going for with this movie is pretty huge in scope. I see online one of the biggest criticisms is it doesn't take risks. I think the whole movie is a risk because you can't come up with a plot this crazy and not call that risky. I don't know. I think that's such a...
It's true though, because even too, the safe thing to do would have been, well, oh wait, I can't say that because this is not the spoiler section.
We're not in the spoiler section.
Okay. Now. Well, there were some times where they could have chosen to play it safe and they purposefully did not. Let's just put it that way. And I'm going to say, too, I did leave the theater with a smile on my face. Like, it's Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I was happy. I saw lightsabers. I saw blasters. I saw the Millennium Falcon. Those things bring me joy. But then when you start thinking about, like, the continuity of the trilogy as a whole, and that's why we're talking so much about The Last Jedi, because you really can't separate the two. It's supposed to wrap it up, but to me, it felt more like, well, when's the fourth movie coming out? Like, right. It did not feel like an ending.
Now, there are things in the film that leave it open for future...
There's a lot of things. Like, there were a lot of, like... Whereas The Last Jedi was all tying up loose ends, this was, like, towards the end of the film, I noticed, like, purposefully creating open ends.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. I have some.
You have a lot of good points. No, seriously. Okay, if you've been watching this channel, you know that like every time we do a review or a breakdown or anything, she has excellent points. Let's talk a little bit about the characters without getting into too much spoilers. What we liked, what we didn't like, or if we liked their arc. And I want to start with Leia, because I don't think it's a spoiler to discuss the fact that she's in the film. She died before... Carrie Fisher died before... the filming for this even became close to starting.
Yeah.
So they're using legacy footage from her time, presumably in The Force Awakens and some of The Last Jedi. How do you feel that footage was handled?
I feel like it was handled very well considering what they had to work with.
Yeah, it's true. There wasn't...
Yeah, I can't say exactly, like, details, but considering what they had, they worked it.
Considering the plot that they had going for them,
mm-hmm.
They had to very, very selectively and creatively use her lines to write the script around.
Yeah.
And in some instances, it really worked. And in other instances...
You can kind of tell.
You can
kind of... like, this is a very fabricated conversation of what she said.
This is a very... Yes. There are a lot of... Maybe not a lot, because there aren't a lot of scenes with her, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There are a few scenes where it's like, would these people actually be saying this if Carrie Fisher was on screen? And the answer is obviously no. Because...
yeah. But I think that kind of worked, too, because it made it feel like less... it made it feel less contrived. Like, it actually added a little bit of that, like, I don't know, spontaneity or, like... random dialogue that Star Wars, especially the original trilogy. The original trilogy just had like these random conversations that weren't necessarily plot points, just like, little insults or like dumb little things that people were saying. And I think that that's something that they like this situation, it's super sad, and like I obviously would have preferred had it, she not died. But like that, like the fact that they had to work conversations around her random lines almost added to, like, it added a weird flair to the film that I kind of enjoyed in a weird way.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting to cry more. Like, I really love Carrie Fisher as a person. I just think she was amazing. And even like the day that she had died, we were out doing something fun, and like we both kind of like got teared up and like wanted to go home. Like we genuinely really loved her. Not that we knew her on a personal level, and I think some people find that weird, you know, with celebrities and stuff. So I was expecting to cry more, but they really didn't milk it. You know, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
And that's something I kind of respected in a way.
I think it was handled really well. What do you think about the new trinity of characters, Rey, Finn, and Poe? Because they're at the forefront in this film. They're all together for the majority of the film, which is personally very refreshing. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
I like all their characters a lot. Finn, this movie especially, was like he really had a lot of shining moments. Yeah. I think. You know,
John Boyega, there are a few moments in the previous two films, not that he was ever a bad actor, but he was still playing with the role. John Boyega killed the role of Finn in this movie. He just felt like he matured into the role, and I loved it.
But it's not just that he matured into the role, it's that his character was better and his lines were better in this film.
He was given more to do and important stuff.
He was a little bit of like the comedic, you know, character in the last one sometimes.
Yes.
And he was still that in this one, but in a way that was like more flattering, and he had more noble scenes that made him more interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think in the last movie, The Last Jedi, the best scene that he was in is when he's going to sacrifice himself so
and
that
freaking Rose Tico had to just come along. We fight for the things we love. No, we don't. We fight to protect the cause that we're fighting for. Yeah. We don't sabotage it just for one guy that we think we love right now. I don't understand. Dude, if you and I were rebels and you were going to sacrifice yourself, I'd be like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, we're married and I love you very much. Are you sure? And if you were like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'd be like, all right, I'll let you do it. Like, I respect that because you're fighting for something that you believe in.
I would like you to stop me, personally.
If you're fighting for something that you're like trying to save all these other people.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
like
that's different.
Literally, like in The Last Jedi, he's going to save a bunch of people, and then like she stops him, and then like the rebellion force loses a ton of people, right?
Yeah. Well, the opening gets like breached, and yeah, whatever. Let's go back to the Rise of Skywalker. Okay. What do you think about Poe?
I like Poe. Yeah.
That's all you can just say. I like Poe.
I like him. I've always liked him. I think he's kind of cool.
I like they definitely fleshed out his backstory a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but they like, do they even need to? Like Han, we really don't know a ton about his backstory, and he's great.
One moment, I do apologize. Jen and I both keep looking over in this direction, in that direction, because we have our memory card isn't long enough for the video that we're trying to film, so we have to use a really high-tech device to record long videos.
And we can see ourselves, which we normally can't. It's very distracting.
It is very distracting, but the footage is going to look better than normal, so that's nice.
That's nice, but I keep checking to see if my hair looks weird.
It looks beautiful.
Stop complimenting me. It's weird.
What about Rey?
I think Rey stayed very true to character. So one of the main criticisms of Rey as a character is that she's a Mary Sue, which means basically like whatever she does is going to succeed at no cost to her personally. Do you think that continued on in this film?
In some ways, yes. And I don't think they were ever going to fully remove her ability to get stuff done. So she's going to do stuff like, Jedi mind tricks, and it's going to work. She's going to do something like, Jedi training stuff and lift rocks and use the lightsaber properly, and she's gonna kill it in that sense. But there are certain areas of the film where she cannot master until she overcomes or is overcome by something. So in that sense, I would say no, she's given more flaws or inabilities throughout the story that kind of make her character a little bit more interesting, in my opinion.
Okay. I guess what I liked about Rey is that she was only kind of hindered by her own self-doubt. And I'm trying to figure out a way to word this because I don't want it to seem like I'm apathetic to other people's problems or like struggles that other people have. Like there are tons of different things that a lot of people are dealing with right now. But I feel like a common problem that we have in our day and age is self-doubt. and criticisms that we have of ourselves. I know I've fallen prey to this many times, and it's hindered me from like reaching my potential, and I'm still like trying to overcome that obstacle. So the fact that Rey had a similar issue, like she had potential in all these things that she could do, but she was almost like afraid of herself.
Yeah.
I found really, really interesting.
And relatable.
Okay. Yeah, because
that's cool.
Yeah, I just think like a lot of us feel that way. Like, you know, we don't really understand, you know, who we are, where we fit in, and, you know, how all this works. And we're just trying to figure it out, and we're doubting ourselves all along. But if you just keep trying to do what's right, you know, or to quote Frozen, do the next right thing, you know, you can get to where you want to be, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but I'm trying.
To close the non-spoiler section out, do we like or not like the film, and where would we rate it? You know, just out of 1 out of 10.
Oh, okay. It's not like we're going to put all of the films in order. I left the film happy the first time I watched it, but I was drinking whiskey at the theater. The second time I watched it, I left it like, okay, it's all right. But then I kept thinking of The Last Jedi and getting pissed off. I'd say I'd rate it like, I don't know, like a 6 or 7? 7?
That's fair.
7-ish? Yeah,
that's
7.
Fair. 7 is the, you know, the benchmark for fair or good.
Yeah, I left it. There's, you know, people complain about fan service. I enjoyed it. I liked the fan service bits.
The fan service never felt
too servicey.
It wasn't a bunch of like, here, remember this, here, remember that, here, remember that.
Yeah, it wasn't like that.
It was fan service that like, oh wow, that finally got done. Kind of like, all right, so in Endgame, when Cap picked up Mjolnir, that was fan service. But that was like,
fun fan service.
That's what you wanted to see because you've spent 22 previous films watching this character and
wondering who is worthy.
Yes. So with this movie, you have a lot of those scenes where you're just kind of certain things that you want to see happen, certain things that you don't necessarily think that you want to see happen. But it's never so in your face that it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. I would say a 7 as well. 7, maybe 7.5. I also left the film liking it quite a bit. The second time I enjoyed it much more, I believe. Just because I was able to fill in a lot of the plot holes that I found in the first viewing. Because the first viewing is so quick that you don't really... Everything just kind of, you know, blurs together by the end of the film.
Yeah, it does.
So the second viewing, I was able to like think about like, oh, I had a problem with this scene. Let's see if they kind of explain it away. And generally they did. And I was very happy with that.
I was really cold, so I grabbed a blankie because I was freezing. So before we get like super heavy into spoilers, I just wanted to mention and do a plug for our brother, well, my brother-in-law's and Dakota's actual brother, his...
By blood.
So we wanted to mention his game. He made a board game. He has a Kickstarter, and it's super fun.
He's about halfway through his Kickstarter now.
Yeah, and we're super proud of him. Yeah, we're super happy and proud of him. He made all of the art by himself. It is hilarious and original and really cool, and we just want people to support his Kickstarter because that would be awesome.
Yeah, if you don't choose to support us this month or next month, please be sure to check out Questicus. Austin, my brother, made an amazing game. He did all the artwork for it. He created, I think, 12 original characters, with more on the way. Mm-hmm. There are certain like tier levels in the Kickstarter that you actually get certain rewards added to the base set of the game, which is pretty cool. I think like we're currently on the tier where we can create a new character with the artist and like, you know, work with Austin to come up with like a cool, fun little character. And I have some ideas, and I'm so excited to put that into the game because I just cannot wait.
Yeah.
So
if you don't support it and like get him to the end, then Dakota won't be able to create his new character.
I won't be able to.
So that's tragic.
So we're gonna have to do the Kickstarter all over again.
Yeah.
But
so don't be a bad person. Just support him.
He's already like halfway there, and I'm so excited. So yeah, if you guys want to check out Questicus, I'm going to link it in the description down below. And you can check out his Kickstarter, check out the videos. We've created a couple videos on our channel. One of them is a how to play video, which you can click right here. And let me know your thoughts on it.
And there's a commercial where I am dressed as a really, really unsexy knight. Like, emphasize on the or like as in not. Like, it's pretty...
Well, that's subjective.
It's horrific.
That's subjective. You can also visit that video right here. So, with that said, thank you for watching up to this point. We're going to get into spoilers at this point. So, bye-bye.
Babu Frick.
Babu Frick is the best character in the movie. I loved Babu Frick. That is my favorite scene. Hey! I love
He's so
Babu
cute.
Frick. Okay. Let's actually talk about like actual spoilers. Obviously, Babu Frick is great.
Yes.
One of the things that I spoke about in my first reaction video was the lack of certain characters. Remember when we were watching the red carpet, and they were talking about certain characters that like they would ask the fans like, what alien are you more interested in, Babu Frick or Claude?
Dude.
And
For real, everybody said Claude, and then Claude like literally isn't there. But I kind of like
he has
him
one
still.
line, I think, like the entire
movie. No, he doesn't
movie.
really speak. Does he even speak? Does he speak?
They ask him like, "Are you gonna fix that in the Falcon?" And he goes, "Morgan," or something like that.
Yeah, suckers. Because we chose Babu Frick.
But the actual cast, they actually rated Claude above Babu Frick, which just like.
Why?
Was he in more
maybe
of the
it's
film?
more of like a joke, like maybe Claude was like, oh Claude, like
I genuinely believe that he was in more of the film and they cut his scenes out just to save time because he's not important ultimately. Unless
that's super mean.
It's Claude.
Be nice to Claude.
Babu Frick is way better.
I want to talk about Leia because I think that's super interesting the way they handled that. So I feel like, you know, people are calling this film safe, but the safe thing to do would have been to kill her off right at the beginning. Like, that would have been safe and it would have been easy and clean. You know, it wasn't the smoothest thing, but I think, you know, considering the circumstances, that kind of made sense.
The original rumor for the film was that this was going to be 5 years later on the timeline, and that Leia was going to, unfortunately, be dead before the films started.
Yeah, there were plenty of easy ways out on this. But I think, basically, like you had told me, the way that it was set up was, like, Han was supposed to be kind of the major role or influential role of the first
Force Awakens.
Film. Yeah.
Then it was supposed to be Luke, and then it was supposed to be Leia.
And, you know, the timing of everything, it obviously didn't work out. And I do think that it's such a tragedy that we never saw the original, you know, trio all together in the same room. That's a shame. That sucks. But considering, you know, what they could do, they did what they could.
I really think what they did in like using her lines and using her character to push the plot forward, especially for one of the major characters in Kylo Ren, was so impressive to me. Yeah. And it's even more impressive on the second viewing, because the first viewing I was like, this is kind of weird. It's clear that they're just doing
it's creepy because you have to kind of like put it off in your mind that she's dead.
It is clear to me that they're using her face and the footage that they have of her. In some instances, it is actually Carrie Fisher's like whole visage, you know, just superimposed on whatever screen or place that they're in currently. But there's a lot of footage that you can tell, like, it's just blurred around the face, that it just kind of like, it floats a little bit where it shouldn't.
That's so weird. I never noticed that.
I'm
super bad.
I have a very, very low threshold for the
Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley.
My Uncanny Valley is massive. I can just stare into...
Your threshold is high, you mean? Yeah. So with how about the scene with her and Luke training?
I loved it. I thought it was great, and they were like Jedi skills. They were so good. I thought it was great. I loved it. And especially like Luke's face, like. Leia's looked a little weird, but I didn't think it looked bad at all. And I thought, like, oh, man. You know, like, what came to my mind first was, man, she was so beautiful.
Yeah, Carrie was such a beautiful
like, that
actress.
made me tear up that scene a little bit more than even, like, her death scene and stuff. Like, even just thinking
Let's talk about her death scene, because I cried both times during her death.
He's a wuss.
But I cried
I cried, too.
Not because of her, not because, like, the character died. I cried because of Chewie.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're gonna get me started.
Chewie freaking out because of Leia.
Yeah, that was tough. That was
Killed me, man. Oh.
Killed me, man.
No, seriously though. It was just...
No, that was tough, yeah.
I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, I'm getting kind of misty-eyed just because you think about this Wookiee who literally a year ago saw Han, his buddy for life, die to his son.
Mm-hmm.
And now he comes back to Leia not being there.
Yeah. And he's the last one. It's like humanity's worst fear, like being the last surviving member of your family.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know. You know, the Christmas special left a lot to be desired about what happened to Chewie's family. We really have no idea. He's literally the last of his, like, original group.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, his family, we do not know where his wife and son are.
Yeah.
And that old dude.
With,
And, you know, with Han, Luke, and Leia, like, they're all gone now.
Yeah. It's truly tragic.
Yeah. I learned in, a psychology lesson that, like, that's, like, humanity's, man's worst fear. Is being the last. And that's why, like, movies in space, where you're the last living person on this space flight, are, like, super intense because most people are super afraid of that.
Well, that reminds me, I mean, this is off on a little tangent, but we started getting into the show Cheers, and there's an episode where a World War II veteran comes into the bar, and they meet every 5 years or 10 years or something like that, like all the World War II veterans, and he's waiting for all his friends for the entire night, and he realizes he's the last of his friends.
Everybody else died.
That hit me hard, but it's kind of the same thing with Chewie.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like we all re-meet for these big, you know, rebel rallies. Like we all do this. Like this is what we do, and like I'm the only one. Yeah. And then somebody said, like, "Come on, buddy, we need you," and that's when he got up. Yeah. And it was like, like he'll still get up if he's needed, you know.
What I loved for Chewie was, and I thought this was really fan servicey at first, but they gave him the medal. You know, the medal he was denied in A New Hope. They gave everyone a medal except for Chewie.
But in this movie, they gave him a medal?
Maz gave him a medal at the end, remember?
Oh, you're right. Yes. I hadn't thought about the significance of that.
This is for you. And I was like, oh, they're giving Chewie a medal. That's so corny. But then I thought about it.
It went over my head completely.
Because of this book, that medal was actually, according to the book, Han's medal from that ceremony in A New Hope. Okay. And Leia was carrying that around, and she carried it onto her deathbed. I don't know if you noticed.
I'm gonna freaking start weeping. Shut up. Shut up. Stop talking.
Let's talk about Luke, because one of the biggest moments in the film is when Rey is on Ahch-To, and he catches the lightsaber that she's about to throw in the fire. Yeah. And he says something about the Jedi light, or the weapon of the Jedi deserves more respect. And that's a direct... Meanwhile... That is a direct, like, punch towards, you know, The Last Jedi, where Luke, right over his shoulder... What did you think about that? Did you instantly catch that when you watched the movie? Like,
Luke felt a little more like himself in this. I don't know.
Maybe Luke felt like more like Mark Hamill?
Yeah, probably a bit. I don't know. I just felt like it was more authentic. Well, Luke, in general, though, was very expressive and kind of whiny. And, like, you know... Like to see, like Luke in The Last Jedi was kind of like apathetic, which is so not Luke. Like Luke sees...
I don't know about that. I
Luke sees an image of Leia and he's like, she's so beautiful, I need to help her. And Luke's like, I want to get off of this, you know, I want to get off of Tatooine, and like, you know, complaining when, you know, the droids are broken.
His arc changes from A New Hope to the Return of the Jedi. In Return of the Jedi, he's very introspective. He's very he's more in tune with the Force. He's thinking about the next steps.
That's true,
in his
actually.
Life. Yeah. And he does have a moment where he almost kills his father. So let's not get too harped up on The Last Jedi, but Luke's arc in The Force Awakens makes sense for a character and is interesting for a character that we haven't seen for 30 years. So I don't want to deny fine. That. I think that's a very interesting...
I just like seeing Luke more expressive. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying that that's wrong, and I do enjoy it. And in the new trilogy, the Force Ghosts that we have seen, Yoda and Luke, have both been more jovial than their
that's true. Their
counterparts.
True, yeah.
So, so there's that. Let's talk about. Man, we're gonna jump all over the place because I think
just like
we
the
have
beginning of the film.
19 minutes to film the rest of this review. Let's talk about the final fight scene. We never got to see Ahsoka.
That's true, which is a bit of a bummer, yeah.
But we got to hear her. Yeah. What do you think about the fact that we can hear her?
Well, I mean, that shows like she died as a Jedi.
Yes, so, which is interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I think it's like a nice nod to the fans. It's an easy nod to the fans, though. It was easy for them to do, just impose a voice, right? Like it's not Ashley Eccleston.
Eckstein, yeah.
Eckstein to just jump in and do that. It's not super hard, but it's nice that they put forth the effort. I
really love that they brought back all of those actors to reprise their roles, and I looked for legacy lines and I don't hear any. So I'm thinking that those are all lines that original lines that they recorded for this film.
But and I'm so happy about that. Dakota's brother brought up a point that I had not considered before, but in the last scene when Rey decides that she's a Skywalker, it's just Luke and Leia. Why isn't Hayden Christensen there?
If it is a Skywalker saga, yeah.
Yeah, and then why isn't Kylo there?
Ben should have been there as well.
Yeah, Ben. Yeah, that's true. I shouldn't be calling him Kylo, but like Ben and Anakin, little Annie in the flesh should have been there. I don't know in what form, but
when you think about Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, when Luke is looking past the pyre and he sees the Force ghosts of the Force users that he knew in the past, which is Yoda, Ben, and Anakin. Anakin's there, even though he was dark.
That was such a good opportunity to show all the Skywalkers actually together for the first time. Oh. The family that should have been, but that the dark side kind of tore apart. They could have been together. And he brought up that point, and when I was watching this film, I was like, holy crap, he's right. Like, I can't look at this scene the same. Like, that would have been sick.
Here's the problem that I have. They thought about it.
How do you know?
They had to have thought about it. There's no possible way they would think about that scene and not think about using Anakin and Ben in that shot. So they chose purposely to use only Luke and Leia. And that is what bothers me most about that scene. I think it's a great scene, and I like the fact that she takes the name Skywalker as opposed to Palpatine. But that was a purposeful choice. I'm sure both Hayden Christensen and Adam Driver film scenes where they're smiling and looking off into the distance. Because why wouldn't they?
Yeah, why wouldn't you guys try that? I don't get it. Anyway, back to the fight with Palpatine. I loved it. I love him. I love him.
Deliciously evil.
Good. He's so good. And I just wish that they had, trickled him in sooner in the trilogy. If they would have left hints, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, they would.
Because imagine if, maybe after The Force Awakens, we've been like, was that a nod to Palpatine? That's funny. And then in The Last Jedi, it's like, oh my god, they're bringing back Palpatine. And then in in the Rise of Skywalker, it's like, oh my god, he's here.
Yeah.
That would have been sick. Or if they hadn't had him in the trailers at all and just brought him back as a surprise, that would have been awesome.
There should have been something at the end of The Last Jedi that cued you into there being a larger threat to the galaxy than just Snoke.
Because it was kind of like he was, even Leia's line, he was there all along in the shadows or something. It's like, that's cool. But why did you guys cut that out of The Last Jedi? Because clearly she said that line.
I have a question for you. And this is a question that's been brought up a few times that I've seen. What do you think Palpatine's plan is, and do you think it's too convoluted for the movie?
Sheev. The man. The myth. The legend. I guess maybe that's true, because the way that I thought of it, now that I think of his character as a whole, doesn't really add up, because he is kind of a mastermind. He literally ran the Senate. He destroyed a democracy. This man is a freaking genius.
Yeah.
And he was working towards a cause the whole time, and it seems like he was trying to get Rey from her infancy over to his side. But then when he didn't, he decided that she would kill him. But then when Kylo showed up, he decided that he would take their Force, but he only decided to do that after he found out for the first time that they were a dryad.
Dyad.
Dyad.
That's another, like, force thing. So
So basically, it's like a force connection between them, and he realized you're a force dyad, I haven't seen that. He says something like, I haven't seen that for centuries.
Generations.
Or generations. And then he, like, pulls her energy out. So I wonder if he had a plan and it started to fail, and then he realized, wow, this would be a better plan.
So his original plan in this film is kill Rey. You must kill Rey, Kylo. Then...
He said to kill her? Oh, yeah, you're right. He did.
He wants
wants her dead, but then he wants her to kill him.
Wants her. Well, no, he wants her to show up to him
alive,
and then he wants her to kill him, and then he wants
to suck their life force.
I'll tell you what. I think Palpatine thrives on two things.
Chaos.
Chaos is one of them. Anarchy is definitely one.
That's why I like that man.
He has contingency plans up the wazoo, that man. And then the second thing he thrives on is the destruction of the light, destroying the Jedi entirely. So his goal with Rey,
what did the Jedi ever do to him?
You know, 1,000 years of no Sith because of the Jedi rule. I think he'd have a grudge, and he feeds on hatred. So why not? With that drive to destroy the light, I believe all of his plans make sense. No matter what, he wants to drive the Jedi away. If Kylo kills Rey, that's like immediately losing the opportunity for him to return to the light. If Rey kills Sidious, like just in cold blood, out of revenge,
she's not going to be a Jedi.
She's not going to be a Jedi, which, you know, takes her to the dark side. He can jump into her body because Siths can only exist through jumping into the next living being or object. They can't become Force ghosts. With both Ren and Rey, like, combining forces in the light and realizing they're a dyad, and by taking their power, I think that his plan totally made sense. Like, all of a sudden, he pulled them forward, and all of a sudden he sucked energy out of them by accident, and he realized, oh, my hands are growing back. My decrepit, broken hands are growing back. If I take more of their power, look what I've become.
I love that. I want that to be a meme so bad.
That is my favorite
No, it's like
scene.
something like, look what you've made. Look what you've created.
Yes.
I want to say that to my parents when they mock me. My parents, like, ridicule me. Look what you've created.
Oh man, and then he just wreaks havoc on, like, the Resistance. It's such a, like, beautifully evil scene. E. McDiarmid.
I love him.
Wow, I am so happy that they were somehow able to bring him back for this. And it was necessary because Snoke is dead.
He was all bubbly in the little tubes. There were two of them floating around.
Oh, yeah. Are we going to talk about the fact that there are pickled Snokes in the world?
Pickled Snokes. Are we going to talk about it, or are we going to write a song about it?
I was kind of hoping that there would be pickled Jar Jars.
Dude.
Just to explain the Darth Jar Jar theory a little bit.
It's real. It's out there.
You know they thought about it. You know they thought about it.
Yeah, they did, because they freaking put it in one of their books. So
they did. In the final Aftermath book,
Darth
there's
Jar Jar
definitely
is real.
a Darth Jar Jar scene.
We're gonna make the whole galaxy is smiling.
I love that.
Overall, I enjoy the film a lot. I think, you know, later on when we watch it, it's kind of like the prequels. Like, nothing, like, it's not perfect, but it's Star Wars, and it's like, there are things that you can love.
Yeah, it's so enjoyable.
At the end of the day, I think that this film in particular will be very memeable. I think there's going to be lots of memes, and I look forward to the memes.
I don't care about the memes. I don't.
I live for memes.
She's a meme lord. I'm just a casual observer.
Look what I've become.
Do you think that her ability to use force healing was out of nowhere?
That felt contrived, yeah. I think, you know, to plug it in the Mandalorian and then have it in the film is like...
It's very clear to me that they put it in the film, and then while they were making Mandalorian, let's tie it in somehow.
And then let's release the Mandalorian a couple of days before.
Literally a day before.
Yeah, I just thought that felt a little much. I liked that scene, though, and I don't mind the concept of force healing, but I just thought, like, you're not deceiving me by putting it in an episode the day before. Like, I know you guys just thought of this idea. You know what I mean?
I feel like we're going to have way more thoughts than we have time to film for this video. But I guess the most important thing is, are you happy with who Rey ended up with? At least
I don't
briefly.
think that that's the most important question, no. I am happy with who Rey ended up with. I like her character. I've always liked her character. I think her theme, like John Williams wrote, is fantastic, and I think it embodies who she is. She's clever and smart and strong, but she also has self-doubts, and she's questioning who she is, and I think it's very relatable. My question is, do I leave this film thinking, that was a great trilogy? No, that's not what I think. I think it's disjointed. I think Disney should have done better. I think they should have had one director for the whole way through. It's not harmonious, and I think harmony in general is a huge theme of Lucas's, and they did not do that.
You don't think that they honored that legacy?
It's not a harmonious trilogy. Each film I left, fair. Okay, I'm happy, but is it easily digestible? Is that what makes something good? I don't know.
Are you excited for more in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, if they freaking change their tune, if they get better. I feel bad for you, but get better, in the words of Aaron Boone. I mean,
there's no possible way that they will announce another trilogy unless it's by one director and one writer.
Yeah, they're not going to make that mistake again. I think that was incredibly stupid, and I hope that they learn from it.
Would you say that this is more Rise of Skywalker or Rise of Babu Frick?
Definitely Rise of Babu Frick. It was fun, and I'm gonna watch it a million times. Yeah, I know I am, but I'm really is. I'm a little salty.
Yeah, it really.
Yeah, I'm a little salty, but it is fun.
To be honest with you guys, I'm really happy with the film. I think a lot of the choices they made were rushed. I think a lot of the choices they made were crazy, but man, if I didn't have a good time, like I enjoyed that film to bits.
I did too. I think too, it's like just even experiencing the whole, like having the whole Star Wars experience in our lifetime is super cool. Like, getting that excitement for the film, speculating about what's going to happen next. And I did love that, and I hope to experience it again in my lifetime, which is why I don't think that they're done with the series. I hope they revisit it, and I know even if I'm not super thrilled with this trilogy, I'll get probably excited again for the next one.
And I know we didn't touch on everything. One thing I want to touch on is the music. I think John Williams knocked it out of the park again.
His swan song, he killed it.
He had a cameo appearance.
Yeah, he did.
On Kajimi. Yeah, he was the bartender in Kajimi. I thought that was hilarious. There's a lot of little cameos. Oh, Han Solo pops up. What do you think about Harrison Ford?
Well, I always love Harrison Ford, so it's not even a question. I love that man.
I'm torn between whether or not that is a forced projection that Leia.
He said it's a dream.
Well, yes. He says that this is part of my imagination, or this isn't real, or something like that. But just note that scene occurs after Leia dies, but before she disappears into the Force and becomes a Force spirit or ghost. True. Is that a her projecting Han into the vision of Kylo from the memories that he had of his father? I don't know. I kind of like that little headcanon.
Yeah, the idea of that. Yeah, I just like that Han's last words were, I don't know, classic Han. Yeah, that part teared me up when he said, "I know." It's like he didn't even finish his sentence. I know. Yeah.
I love that their conversation and like their actions were so similar to the scene in The Force Awakens, except Han didn't end up dying again.
Yeah, that's true.
I did have a moment of like, oh, please don't do it again.
Kylo, get a grip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun fact about Dakota and I. The first time I told Dakota that I loved him, he said, I know, but I hadn't seen Star Wars yet, so I didn't get the reference, and I called him an insulting word back, because I was like, you're just going to say, I know? Like, that's it? I was furious. I did not react like Leia. I was upset. And then he was like, no, I'm quoting Star Wars. And I was like, what is this?
What is this relationship?
Why is everything fiction?
Guys, thank you so much for watching this extremely long video. I hope you enjoyed our discussion, our review of the Rise of Skywalker / The Last Jedi / The Force Awakens. I genuinely really enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch it again. We've only seen it twice now, but I'm really just happy. I'm happy that it's over and I can like discuss it, and like I can't wait for the canon novelizations to like expand on it and see what like was taken out of the script. I want to know your thoughts. I really do. So please leave your thoughts in the comments down below.
We do read those.
We do, and if you have any complaints about the film, I will see if I can uncomplaint them, because I've done that to a few comments already that have like, you know, broken down like what they didn't like, and I just kind of like broken down what, you know, how it actually works. So if you want to do that and you want to hear my thoughts, comment down below.
Yeah, or complaints, you know, against us as human beings. Like if my forehead is too large and you want to comment on that, I can try to shrink it, maybe see if there's some surgery for that. You know, whatever you want, we'll do it.
This is going nowhere fast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to help us out on Patreon, you can do that by visiting geekritique.com/patreon. No, the other way around. Patreon.com/geekritique, and you can, you know, help us out in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And,
we really
and
do
thank
appreciate
you to everybody who's already doing that, because you guys freaking rock.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we should go. Bye, guys.
Bye.